fundamentally, warfare is a human construct. It is human beings and human individuals led by human leaders and human societies battling against each other over land, over resources, over cultural supremacy, over religion, over any number of issues. But it is fundamentally human, and it has always been human. It has been human beings fighting each other in all kinds of different horrendous methods to achieve something as a group, as a society, as a country. And with the introduction of drones, as long as they continue to be controlled by human beings, it continues to be a fundamentally human function. But one of the topics we covered towards the end of that conversation, and something that's been gnawing at me a lot about this topic, is the dehumanization of warfare. And the ultimate dehumanization would be if we allow machines, no matter how well trained, no matter how well supervised they may be, if we allow drones and autonomous machines to make autonomous decisions without human involvement that result in the killing of human beings, then for the first time, we have started to take away the human element from warfare. We have dehumanized the individuals, the combatants, to a degree never before seen. Now, for those who study military history, these debates were made when guns were introduced into combat, when machine guns, high capacity machine guns were introduced, when tanks, when planes, when bombs, when missiles. The further away that the killer was from their target, the more dehumanizing the experience of warfare was. And I understand those arguments, but just imagine the implications of a sophisticated technology driven by AI algorithms, programmed by humans though they may be, that are able to very efficiently and effectively exterminate large numbers of troops on a battlefield. We're not talking about civilians now. We're talking about actual combatants in an actual declared war zone. So these are legitimate targets. But the killing is taking place at the direction of a drone or a machine tool that, though designed by humans, potentially still accountable to a human, but can make lethal decisions without humanity. I believe that crosses a Rubicon that we as human beings have not fully comprehended yet. That a human life can be taken by a machine without another human being having made the final kill decision. Now, it's clear from the conversation we just had, this is a discussion. This is under tremendous scrutiny in the international community and among militaries of the world. But the most likely outcome of this is to find some framework to allow that to happen. And if we take the humanity out of the act of war, and we allow artificial intelligence to take over some of that process, I would argue it makes peace less likely and less achievable. Because one of the things that happens in warfare in the end is the fatigue of the combatants themselves, not just the soldiers in the front line, but the leaders of the military who direct them, and the political leadership of the countries who direct those militaries, and the societies themselves. One of the things that brings wars to a conclusion is the fatigue of constant combat and the resource drains that go with it, and the emotional and moral fatigue of killing. Even in massive global wars, eventually the combatants just reach a point of exhaustion. But they reach that point because there are people who are making life and death decisions every day that result in the death of other human beings, and they feel it and they know they're responsible for it. If we put that power in the hands of machines without human direct oversight to make those decisions, then the decision to keep a war going will be easier and will potentially allow for that fatigue to take much longer to set in, because those doing the killing will be further and further and further away than they have ever been before from having their own decisions result in the death of others. The fact that war is a human construct and a human decision also makes peace more likely, because that's also a human construct and human condition. But you tell me what the most likely outcome of an artificial intelligence powered weapon is: to continue its own existence as a killing machine, or to bring humans towards a closer path to peace that would render the use of those tools irrelevant or needless. I think I know the answer. I don't like the idea of science fiction talk about, Terminators and all of that. That's not what I'm saying. I am simply saying that anything that makes warfare less human makes peace less likely. And that's my general view following that conversation that was so in-depth and so detailed. And there's so many things that go into war fighting and war planning and the morality and ethics of it and how societies think about what they'll allow their militaries to do. I'm so glad that we had Lieutenant Colonel Lushenko on to have that conversation. And I'm so glad that people like him are in the positions that he's in to lead that dialogue. But in the end, it is all of us in the public who maybe don't have a role in the defense industries of our countries who will make up the opinion about what we tolerate and what we allow. And my only advocacy following this conversation is that while I believe some version of autonomous killing machines is probably inevitable, I would strongly suggest that we forestall it as a society as long as we possibly can, and to keep it out of the hands of the most dangerous individuals in the world. Because the more dehumanizing warfare gets, the more likely it is to continue and spread. And in the end, any logical machine would probably conclude that killing everybody on the other side is the only way to settle a conflict. And I don't think that's a world any of us really want to live in for ourselves or for the next generation.